Welcome to the Unlock the Genius Within podcast. My name is Jordan Debano, founder of the Creative Genius Academy. And on this show, I'll be teaching you the principles to unlocking the part of your consciousness where your true genius and potential lives. Thanks for joining me today, and let's get into the episode. Welcome back to the podcast, guys. It is episode 3 of Unlock the Genius Within. I have my audio page up now, and I'm going to attempt to track what's going on here and try and look at the camera at the same time for everyone on YouTube. But it's great to be back. If I do look down, I'm not breaking eye contact with you. I see you. We're together. We're here. We're going to have a great episode. But yeah, last week I was dropping a heap of gold, and the Spotify page decided to cut out on me. And lucky I had Zoom going because it gives you an audio, and we could still run with the show, which is the main thing. So it's good to be back here. Today, guys, we have a very exciting and eye-opening episode. We're going to be going over the importance of following your genius. Okay, following your genius and actually listening to it. And I'm going to title it Following Your Genius or Else, because the or else is a really real thing for a lot of people when they start opening themselves up to the intuitive orientation, the superconscious orientation, their genius projects, businesses, and ideas. It's a very real thing, because quite often what happens when we open ourselves up to this part of our consciousness and we receive this information, we start, going, oh, this is really scary. This is really big. I don't know if I can do this. And that's the ego talking. And we'll try to go back. We'll try back out. It's like, oh, this is big now. Time to go back to safety. And it's too late, right? Because once you know, you can't unknow. So you've got this new level of awareness and you're like, oh, too big. Okay, time to run back. And it's in the running back that you cause havoc in your life, you cause chaos. And after the 4-week course that I ran about a month ago now, Unlock Your Creative Genius, it was a 4-week program that I took a chunk of participants through. I've had quite a few messages recently saying, Jordan, I was making circles and it was going so well. I was following intuitive information. I had so much tension in my life. And then this one day, I decided to not listen. And I got my ass handed to me. And I'm like, well, don't F with your intuition. Don't F with your genius. Don't fuck with your genius. I'm just going to swear. I'm not going to try and tone it down. But and this is the danger of it. So today we're going to go through the importance of following through. I'm going to give you some solid principles, some solid foundations that you can use to really follow through on your genius and ensure that you're not buying into the ego's chatter. And I'm also going to give you some awareness pieces around some stories that are out there, particularly in the personal development space, that just don't help when it comes to following your genius. Okay, so buckle up. It's going to be a big episode. We're going to have some more, I'd say, theoretical pieces rather than practices today. And as long as you're taking notes and you're really applying what I'm giving you, you'll be able to see the results. So let's start off with the misconceptions. So I'm laughing because the misconception I'm about to give you now was the one that I bumped up against when I first started opening myself up to my genius, particularly in business. And it was that my genius is my passions, right? And here's the thing. Or my values, I have a set of values and rules, and I have passions. We're going to bunch it all together. That's my genius. And you would only believe that if you were under the story that you had an unconscious mind, and that was it. You had an unconscious mind that fed your subconscious, and the subconscious is the master creator, and whatever message you put in there, you'll create. With the work that I teach entrepreneurs and that I take my clients through, it is very much about you have an unconscious mind and you have a superconscious mind. Your genius lives in the superconscious. Your past, your limits, your traumas live in your unconscious. When you give your unconscious the power, Okay, you'll create that. And when you give your superconscious the power, you will create your genius. Now, passions and values, what are they actually? All right. So let me just give you break this down, so you've got it. Values are essentially voids. Okay. Whatever you've lacked in your past, whatever you perceived that you didn't have growing up, when you were a kid, you're going to have a void there. So let's say like you weren't super well off, with your family, or you didn't get much attention. You didn't have much of a social group in school. There's a strong chance as you grow up, you're going to value social a lot more. Or if you're in the money example, you're gonna value like wealth, and but maybe it's not particularly wealth. Maybe you didn't have nice things. Maybe you didn't have money, and your focus was like, oh, everyone else has like nice cars and nice houses. Why don't I? And then you like start to value like luxury and what have you. And there's nothing wrong with valuing these things and wanting these things, but if it lives from the place of a void, then what you're essentially going to create is you're going to create an experience where you'll get some of the value, but also the void. So this is where you see a lot of business owners, or a lot of people, they go after something and they're like, all right, I'm going to throw everything I've got like I can at getting the luxurious trip, or buying the car. Okay. And if it's coming from that void, what you'll see a lot of people do is they'll work up a heap of debt where they're still in lack. Okay. They're still majorly in lack, but they have the thing, right? And they're constantly like working against the void to get more of the thing. And then you see that they build this huge structure for themselves where they've got a lot of the things, but a lot of the void. Okay. And this is the danger. This is the danger. If you go with your passions are the same, right? Your passions, they I like to define passions just a little differently. So we've got voids and values. Passions comes from pain in order to seek pleasure. So let's say you have a pain from, when you're a kid, and let's say like you were overweight. Like I know I had this. I was majorly overweight when I was younger, and I had a huge like thing about it because I used to get bullied for it. So growing up, I used to value like eating really well, training super hard, and in order to escape that pain. But at the same time, right, what that also created after a while was a pain in eating healthy. And then I'd find myself ballooning back to the other way and becoming really fat. And I'm going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And the passion just is never leading me to a place where I've got a sustainable creation. So your genius is none of this, or everything I've just said, your values and your passions. It's very unstable. Like it's not even unstable. It's not consistent. You can't keep it up. It's not sustainable. But your genius is, right? Because what's your genius based on? Your genius lives in your superconscious mind, and your superconscious mind only feeds you information of your truth because it's always been there. Your superconscious didn't need to be developed. It came with you before you were a human being. This is the most powerful thing I could probably teach you, right, on this episode. Your superconscious did not form. It just landed, right? And if you're able to access that, you can open up your genius ideas. You can open up what you really want to create, and you'll just create that. You won't create what you want with a side dish of problems. All right. So that's the first misconception. Please do not start thinking, oh, well, I'm passionate about this, and I value this, and that's important to me, and it feels amazing when I have it. So that's my genius. No, it's not, right? It only feels good because you're operating out of a void and you're trying to escape a pain. That's the reality. And when you start to like leap out of that place, your creativity becomes boundless because you're not governed by your thoughts and feelings. Totally different subject there. Well, it's not a totally different subject. It's just a deeper level of this subject, which we're not going to talk about today. But essentially, you want to be governed by your truth. Your truth is outside of everything I've just said. It's outside of the thoughts and feelings. It's outside of your past. It didn't need to be developed. It was just there from day one. Okay. And if you can be led by that, that's when you start to just create the life you love. Are you still going to have problems? Yes, of course. We live in a world where problems exist, where conditions need to be met. But usually what happens when people are creating their genius and following that in every area of their life, they are facing problems that they'd love to face, right? It's just like, okay, I've got a problem here. And they might not even define it as a problem, different subject. Cover that another time. Okay, so second misconception. My genius is what works. Okay, my genius is what works. So what does this actually look like? Like I see a lot of people, Jordan, I'm making money from this. I find I have like a really good ability in this area. So it's my genius. And again, right? Don't buy that. Okay, don't buy that. Because remember what I've said, you are the master creator of everything. So if you have a story, well, sale, like for me, I believed for a long time, sales is my genius. So like I told myself, like, oh, dude, you've always been destined to sell. All right. Like when you're a kid, you had to stutter. So you had to work super hard at knowing what to say and being able to improvise on the spot. So you'd never stutter again. Okay. Develop that skill. Then on the phone, I was like, I have to learn how to handle objections ahead of time. And then I got all these nice feelings. And all of a sudden I had this story. Sales is my genius. Now, I was focused on that so hardcore that, of course, when you're practicing a script for so long, you're going to get good at reading the script. When you practice objection handling, you're going to get good at that. When you make as many calls as I did, like 100 a day, you're going to get good at closing sales calls. So for me, of course, there was evidence there. Of course, there was something there showing me, hey, yeah, dude, sales is your genius. But why? It's because I created the story. I was focused on the story, so therefore I created it. But what did it also create? A bunch of shit I didn't want to handle and a life that I wasn't very pleased with. That's the danger. So don't blindly follow, well, I've got evidence. The universe is guiding me towards this project, so it must be a sign that this is my genius. No, 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 no. Check yourself. What are you focused on? What story are you telling yourself? Like, are you saying that e-commerce is your thing, or that your job that you really don't like? Oh, well, this is my thing because it just seems like I keep getting these signs from the universe that tell me to stay in the job. But that's bullshit. Okay, you're creating signs to see to keep you in the job. Like, you ever thought of that one? Just calling a spade, guys. I wish someone had told me this when I was working in sales. I wish. It's a hardcore reality because we look for it. We look for it. If we're telling ourselves a story, I need signs in order to stay in this relationship, in order to stay in this job, in order to create this thing. Trust me, you're feeding your subconscious that, so you will see a reality where you'll make up, oh yeah, there's a sign. The bird flew at a 45-degree angle down, picked up the rubbish on the ground, put it in the bin. That means, I'm totally making this up, but it put it in the bin. That means clean up the shit. So for me, just clean up all the stuff that I'm giving a go back to what's clean, the job, right? That is a terrible example, but you get it, right? People make up really wild things, okay, as signs to go, well, I'm gonna follow this. Don't buy it. Don't buy it, because your genius feeds you clear information, okay, to follow. And if you focus on that for long enough and you go, no, this is my genius, this is what I got. If you're in the structure of your genius, okay, then this is where you need to be trained in order to really get what I'm saying here. But if you're trained in this work, you'll realize I don't need to like outer symbols to tell me what my genius is. Okay, if I'm in my structure and I know how to connect to my superconscious, I'm just referenced by that. I'm not referenced by things out here, money, what people think, whether they understand it or not, whether people like it or not. I'm being referenced by what I would love to create, what I'm actually here to do. Okay, because when you go with that, guys, when you go with that, again, you create a life that you truly love. You create success that expands you. That's my hope for everyone here. Everyone that's, listening to my podcast and tuning in every Thursday. My hope for you is that you create a life that you love and success that expands you. Okay, it's no good creating all this success and you can't be you. it continues to limit you. You've got all these clients, you've got all these staff members that you need to show up in a particular way for them to keep them and please them and ensure that the business makes money. I mean, that's how you die. That's how you die. That's not how you show up in this world and be yourself, right? So please do not buy into this thing. Well, it's the market's telling me that I should do this, or, you know, if you're an artist, I'm writing this song because it works. You know, I wrote the song beforehand and it was a hit, so I need to try and do it again. Don't do that. Don't do that. What's your genius telling you? Because what do you think visionaries like Elon Musk, Richard Branson, Elvis, what do you think these guys did? They didn't look out there and go, well, everyone's doing this, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to try and emulate my own form of that. No, they didn't do that. They received a genius insight from within and then went, okay, what does this mean about outside? If you can start within and then go, what does this mean about the outside world? You are on your track. You're on your way. You're on a track to creating something that is a reflection of your heart, a reflection of your greatness. But if you're going, what's it like out there? What do people respond to? How many likes? How many leads am I getting off this? Does she like me? Like, you know, like that's like, okay, so with it outside is telling me something about within. No, stop that. You don't need outside to tell you shit about within. You get a structure that taps you into your superconscious. It taps you into your genius, and you learn that and you work that until you see what has come up from within out there. Yeah, very, very powerful. All right, I'm going to take a sip of coffee. We are going to take a little break, and and just as we're taking a little break, not before we take a little break, as we're taking a little break, what I'd like you to do is just write down a few sentences, a few prompts that have really landed for you about what we're talking about when it comes to following your genius. And if you'd like to comment on the YouTube video, what you're learning, if you'd love to leave a review now on Spotify, greatly appreciate it. And just share what you're learning, because again, obviously I love seeing and interacting with you guys, but also it helps you tell your subconscious the way that you're going to conduct your life. And that's a very, very powerful thing. Okay, because it is the master creator, and whatever you feed it, it will create. All right, guys, do that, and we will see you for the second segment of this podcast. All right, guys, welcome back. So in this section of the podcast, we're going to be going through the key premises to following your genius, okay, and ensuring that you're actually listening to it, you're receiving its message. Like, I've had a few questions over the last few weeks. Jordan, how do I know it's my genius, not my ego? I'm going to give you some really, really powerful principles here, premises, I should say, that's going to, bring that awareness. And with these, you should be able to tell. And again, it's not about being right 100% of the time, because you're going to inevitably follow your ego at points. We are very trained in our thoughts and feelings, in listening to that and being well associated with them. But through training and through time in practice, you will be able to start to detach from them and actually see something that's much bigger, much more powerful. Okay, so the first key premise that we're going to talk about is the fact that your creative genius, the part of you that knows what kind of businesses you'd love to create, the products that you'd love to launch, if you have a business that you really want to bring to life, but you're finding you're getting in the way, your ego's trying to keep you safe, like your genius can help you launch this. So this powerful part of you, it thrives under tension. Write that down. Your genius thrives under tension. Your ego falters under tension. Okay, they're very different. Now, what do I mean by that? So tension, if I haven't said it on the podcast, it is the distance between where you are and something you want. That's what tension is. It's the distance. When we are aware that we are somewhere, okay, in our thoughts and feelings, in our reality, we are truly aware where we are, and we have something that we want, okay? this builds some sort of tension in our body. Now, if we're focused on something that we'd love, and that is a representation of our genius, we're going to experience creative energy in our body. It's going to be like, oh, okay, and it's going to feed you ideas and what have you. If we're focused on something that's going to help us resolve a value or fill a void or make it help us feel some pleasure, it's like fulfill a passion, right? What we're going to experience is we're still going to experience a tension, but it's going to be very different. Okay, I like to call this psych tension. Sometimes it feels amazing and sometimes it feels horrible, but that's your ego going, okay, all right, go for this so that you can stay safe. So that's why I said falter. Your passions and your values are designed, okay, fundamentally to keep you in a box, right? Because remember, it's about filling a void. It's about escaping a pain, right? But remember what I said, if you are focused on escaping something or filling something, you are going to create more things to fulfill, more things to handle, more things to change, more things to fix. This is what your values and passions inevitably do if you're focused on them. It's never going to be enough. But your genius, it's just like, okay, this is what you would love to create. And it's going to give you information on how it would advise you to create it. And this is why I say you want to make your genius your number one advisor in business. You do not want to run your business or try and launch a product through your ego. You're just going to sabotage the whole thing, which 90% of people do when they're trying to start something, because it's like, oh, how do I make money from this? How do I pay the bills, escape the job really fast? It's like, no. That's how you stay in the job longer, and that's how you stay broke. So you want to be like, okay, what is it that my genius wants me to go for? And am I open and vulnerable enough to actually receive its guidance? Because if you follow through on its guidance and you know how to interpret its guidance, this is kind of getting onto the second thing, you will master tension. You will master tension. You'll be able to call on it. You'll want to increase it because it literally is the fuel that calls in your genius to give you advice, literally, right? So just think about this, right? You're home alone on Saturday night, okay? And you've been eating super well. And you're not going out with your friends, but you're planning, you're going to watch some movies at home. And you've been eating super well, training and whatever. And all of a sudden your ego goes, well, you've been eating so well this week. You've been really disciplined. You know how hard you've worked. You deserve a hamburger. Okay. And you start thinking of the hamburger, and it builds this pleasurable feeling. You're like, screw it, I'm going to order it, right? And you're ordering it, and it feels like amazing. You're like, oh yeah, get the hamburger. The next thing, you got fries and a Sprite and some dessert. You can tell I used to be fat. Totally done this many times. And you order it, and then you eat it, and it's like, oh, so good. But then the next day, what happens? You're like, oh God, I feel like shit. Now I need to go for a run, and the run's hard. And then you're working for like 2 days to get that thing out of your body and to get back to that energetic place that you were in throughout the week. That's what it's like to be in that pleasurable psych tension. Now, on the other side of things, you could be home alone on a let's say a Sunday night, and you're looking at your bank account thinking, oh, bills. There's so many bills I got to pay, and oh God, I'm a bit short this month. And you're getting paid on Wednesday from your job. It's usually, I think it's Thursday. I haven't worked in a job for a long time, but let's say you're getting paid on Wednesday, and you're like, oh, okay. All right, well, I'm going to dip into the savings account. I'm going to dip into the savings account to pay instead of hanging with the tension. Now, you go and dip into the savings account, you pay the bills, you pay them off all early before they're due, and you're like, oh, thank God. That painful, that scary, fearful psych tension is gone, okay? That's what tension can feel like when it's coming from your ego. It'll show up in like this exciting, lustful feeling, and it will also show up in like you're about to die. But both times it's designed to keep you small. Now, if you get an idea Okay, you're in a structure and you get an idea to build an app, right? And it's like, oh, I think I'm getting guided to build this. In fact, if I was to make this up and you start writing it down, it's this app and it's for tradies and it's a marketing platform. And right, I'm totally making this up here. A marketing platform, and it helps connect them with certain suburbs that are near their office and la 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 la. And it's really expansive, and you can feel that it's just endless. The ideas, they're so volatile, but you're getting all this feeling, and you can't stop writing. And it's like, it's got this real expansion to it. That is when you're in your creative energy. That because you're just going for a thing. You're not trying to resolve a passion or a void. Yeah. So that's the difference. And look, at other times that won't feel very expansive. You could be in a place where it really threatens your ego and you're like, oh my God, that's so big. And you're writing it down and it does feel scary. It does feel fearful, but you can't stop. It's still feeding you. Your genius wants you to expand. It wants you to balloon out. It wants you to really go for this idea. So you're getting all these ideas, yet it still feels scary. And this is where a lot of people will falter. They'll be like, it's too big. Oh, no, I'm not this. I'm not that. I'm not enough to do this. And that's where tension can really grab hold of them. And this is why training in your genius orientation is so important. Okay, so that is premise one. Now, premise two, your creative genius doesn't speak to you in plain English. Write this down. Your creative genius speaks to you in symbols. Okay, your intuition feeds you symbols. So you will receive intuitive information about your genius, about what you would really love to create in all areas of your life, but it will be in symbols. And if you know how to interpret symbols, if you're really trained in this art, your world can literally be designed to whatever you truly desire it to be, to whatever's a true reflection of your heart, if you know how to interpret symbols very well from within, not out there, from within. Okay. But if you go, oh, well, last night I was asleep and I had this dream and I saw myself writing a book about fairy tales or a business book, and it was about this and la 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 la. It was so clear to me. It was like God speaking to me. And it came through in plain English. I'm sorry to let you know that was not your intuition. That was your ego pretending to be God. It was playing God with you and go, yeah, do this, do this. And it does that because this happens to a lot of people. They want to get intuitive information so bad, and they build up this idea of what it's like to receive intuitive information. And it's like, yeah, I want God to talk through me. And they build this idea that it feels amazing and it's this certain idea. And then your ego goes, great, I will feed you that. Let me help you. And it's like, boom, yeah, write this. It's got a deep voice in it, right? Deep voice and everything, right? I've had experiences like that, but it's not true. It's not true because that is not the language of your genius. Your genius comes through in whispers, it comes through in symbols, and it's your job to interpret it. Okay. Because, like, I like to think of it this way, guys. You learnt English when you came here, you learnt it. Remember what I said, your superconscious, your genius didn't have to be developed. It was there from day one. It doesn't need English, right? Your unconscious, what you've learned through experience, it learnt English. So don't fucking pay attention to whatever comes through in like big, bold things, right? It's just, hey, what does this symbol mean? And you got it again, you want to be in the structure here. You want to know the process to connecting into your genius, because if you're still like needing to know, needing information and trying meditations and stuff, you're just dropping deeper into your ego, receiving more, well, I'm just going to call it here, bullshit, right? And it doesn't serve you because it keeps you small and it will get you recreating your limits all the time. Okay, so remember that your genius speaks to you symbolically, not in plain English. Third thing, this is going to kind of trigger some of you, triggered me. Here we go. Third premise, your creative genius isn't yours. Please write that down. Your creative genius isn't yours. Your creative genius, the ideas, the things that you make up that you would love to create, these apps, these expansive ideas, they're not about you. They're about service. They're about the world. They've come from within. They've been handed to you. They've been handed to you. It's your purpose to be the vehicle that brings it to life, to serve others. Okay. And however your genius is guiding you to do that, you follow it. So I like to say at a high level to my clients, hey, your businesses, it's a separate entity. It's designed to serve your customers. It's designed to provide opportunities to your staff members. Do not get in the way and project your shit onto it. Okay, because as soon as you start making it about you, you make it about you surviving. You make it about you getting by, not serving. Okay, and that's when all your limiting beliefs, all your stories, all your feelings just come and skew everything. And it doesn't need to be that way. It doesn't need to be that way. So it's like if you've got an app or if you've got a coaching program or a piece of art and like you're wanting to launch it, and let's say it's complete, it's finished, it's ready, and your ego's coming in and going, it's not ready yet. It's not ready. You've still got to fix this and do this and speak to 5 people to pitch it. And if they like it, then you can do a little beta launch. Ego's very intelligent, right? But if your genius has given you a different message, it's given you a symbol and you've gone, it's ready, and you don't launch it, you sabotage the whole thing. Because there's another, and we're getting deep with what I'm about to give you here. There's a thing about timing. Your genius knows the time. Your genius knows when things are ready. Businesses, art, songs, everything you create, relationships, trips around the world, they are their own entity. It's not yours. It's separate. And your genius will tell you when that thing is ready to come to life, when it's ready to be, instead of in here, out there. And that's the mastery of timing. If you know when the time is, I'm not talking about the right time here, because the right time is always when it comes to creating, but specifically when to put it out there into the world, when to go. Your genius knows. Your ego will get you jumping through hoops and doing all kinds of things to prepare you, which creates more problems and more things for you to fulfill to launch a thing. But it's total bullshit. If you know how to connect and follow your genius, it will just tell you yes or no. Are you ready or not? And you just got to be vulnerable to the fact that you might not be ready. And you've also got to be vulnerable to the fact that you might be ready. The song's finished. The app's finished. The sales call's ready to be made. You're ready to ask this person out. You're ready to tell them that you love them. Like whatever it is that's coming up, you listen to your genius. And if it's telling you hold back, you hold back. If it's telling you to go, you run like the wind. You run like the wind. Rind? Don't know what that is. The wind. Yeah. And that is the last premise of today. Your creative genius isn't about you. It's about service. So you treat it as its own entity. And when it's time to go, you go. All righty, guys. So in summary of today's episode, following your genius, you now know your genius isn't about your passions or your voids or your values, right? It's not about what's coming to life. It's totally not about that. Okay. You start within and you go out. You don't go out looking, what's the, and then go within. No. Start here, start in your heart, go out. Your principles, your premises for this. Your genius thrives under tension. Your ego collapses to it. Your ego wants to resolve tension really, really fast. Your genius wants to use it. It needs it, right? It's hungry for it. The second thing, your genius doesn't speak to you in plain English. So don't get your ego playing God with you going, hello, write this book and write wise words and behave in this way, right? No, that's not how your genius talks to you. Okay, that's it. It speaks to you in symbols. And then the third thing is your genius isn't about you. So stop projecting your own stuff onto it. Treat it as its separate entity. Your creations have a heart and a breath and a life of its own. And however genius wants you to launch and create and build that, is up to it and you follow it. Okay. But the minute your ego starts going, look at how awesome I am. Look at my thing. No, stop it. Okay. Think about, again, I'm going to give you the most extreme example here. Treat it as a human being. You have kids of your own. All right. Your kid, when they grow up, they don't want to just be mummy and daddy's boy. They want to be their own human being. So think about your creations in the same way. They want to be their own, its own creation. It wants to grow on its own. And if you follow genius, if you follow your genius, it will start to grow on its own. Okay, that's enough. Guys, well done. If you have enjoyed today's episode, I would love it if you would leave a review on Spotify or if you comment on YouTube what you've learned, and even share it with friends. If you've got people that have a genius idea that they've been working on in business or a piece of art, they've been working on it for a long time and it's just not out there, and they go, oh, I don't know why I keep getting in my own way, and like send them these podcasts because it's really going to help. You know, everyone deserves to not just create something genius like and like put it in the back pocket and go, yeah, you know, I've been working on it because it's a passion project. No, stop. Don't downplay it. Don't downplay it to a side hustle. Don't downplay it to something small. If your genius gave you something that is genius, start defining it that way and launch it out. Okay. And I want this show to be a real light for you guys that have the creative energy in your body to actually follow through on that. Yeah. And finally, if you are interested in getting some support and some training in connecting into your own genius so that you can actually get your ideas out there, you can start making some money in that genius business that you're trying to build, the book, the songs, whatever it is that you're creating, head into the show notes and book in a call to see what programs we've got out on offer. We've got our masterminds, our events. I've got my one-to-one coaching container that's filling up at the moment. And if you're not ready to do that, we've also got the Genius Toolkit, which is an online program that enables you to go through certain meditations and exercises that actually connect you into this part of yourself. Cool. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in. We will be back next Thursday with another episode. And until then, stay inspired and follow your genius. Chat then.